People suffering from depression have challenges that are hard to overcome. Medical treatment is often required, and if disability benefits are denied, making ends meet and treating the illness becomes a huge issue. Disability and injury lawyer Nainish Kotak from Kotak Law joins us to break down some important notes if you have been denied benefits or need to make claims. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, Nainish.
Good morning, Bob. Thank you for having me.
So back in December, the monthly Mental Health Index came out with a report revealing 36% of Canadians indicated they were concerned about a fellow employee's mental well-being. And I'm sure the pandemic has compounded or amplified this.
Absolutely, Bob. You know, it's almost as if we have two pandemics here. The one is, of course, COVID-19, but the second is the effect on everybody's mental health, particularly those people who are in the workforce and are deemed essential services, but not traditionally would be essential service workers. I'm talking about those who perhaps work in banks, grocery stores, liquor stores, who are frontline but really have not been trained to deal with the type of stressful situations that other emergency personnel, for example, would have. And we're seeing a lot of claims from people who just, they've got extreme anxiety, depression, for maybe pre-existing depression that has increased, and they just simply cannot get themselves to work because it's just so frightening, and they become so anxious. So we have a lot of claims from people in that subcategory, I would say, who have been in fact denied their benefits. Insurance companies, particularly when you're dealing with anxiety and other mental health related ailments, it's a little easier to deny because those type of illnesses, mental illness, is sometimes not readily found in terms of diagnosis by way of scans. Certainly, doctors and psychiatrists can make a diagnosis based on subjective complaints, but what I find is many disability insurers will say as well, there's insufficient medical evidence. We feel that you're not getting the right treatment, that even though you may have a diagnosis, you can still function. So it's very much easier to deny a claim when you can't see something on a scan.
Are there definitions of disability too narrow?
Look, it's a contract, right? So usually the type of policies that we see are those that are negotiated between an employer and a disability insurer. And they often contain two definitions of disability. The first is for the first 2 years, and that being, is the worker disabled from performing the essential tasks of their own occupation? After 2 years, often the policy definition for disability changes to whether or not the person is totally disabled from performing any gainful occupation that they're suited to by way of education and training or experience. And that becomes a more difficult test to meet, but it still can be met, particularly by those who are suffering from mental illness, because it doesn't matter if the work is physical or not. If the person has anxiety and social anxiety where they can't deal with coworkers or customers, it's often difficult for them to actually perform other employment. I do find, Bob, that many of the people that come through our doors or that we speak to find it very stressful in dealing with the insurance companies. You know, they're questioned about their decision making. They're questioned repeatedly about their functioning on a very regular basis.
What do you recommend that they do and don't do when they're rejected?
Look, if you're rejected, the insurance company will invite you often to file an internal appeal process. I find, quite frankly, it's a waste of time. It's almost as if you've got the left hand judging the right hand, and they're going to make the person run around, oh, get this medical record, you go pay for it, send it. They're going to send it to their internal doctor or nurse, and it's going to inevitably say that, well, that's not good enough. Right. Look, my recommendation is you want to get the decision-making out of the case manager and that level at the insurance company. You want it to go to, maybe one of their lawyers and one of their litigation specialists. And the way you do that is you consult with a lawyer who practices in disability law and have them, deal with the case. Often, it's unfortunate that it's become like this, that it's often that it takes a lawsuit to get an insurance company to look at the file in a different way and approve the claim or provide the person with a generous lump sum settlement. Yeah. It's unfortunate that it has to come to that, but let's face it.
But it does, and I wish we had more time. But you know what? We're going to We're going to link up Kotak Law at chch.com for more information on this. And we just can't get to in the scope of the 5 minutes that we have because, again, we're seeing more and more of these claims and a lot of difficulties. So help at Kotak Law. Thank you, Nanish. Good to see you.
Thank you, Bob. Take care.